Hello everyone, my name is Milana. I'm 15. I live with my parents and older sister, Lisa. Our parents work in the field of education. My mom teaches physiology at a local college, and Dad is the principal of the school where my sister and I study. Until recently, I thought we were an ordinary, average family. But apparently, I was wrong. My sister and I often fought. When we were kids, we didn't share toys. When we grew up a bit, we began to compete for parental attention. Now the main reason for the arguments was clothing. I always wanted to wear my older sister's clothes. They seemed to me more beautiful, more fashionable, and cooler than mine. I often took jeans or a blouse from her closet. It always made her terribly angry, but each time she forgave me. Then one day my sister and I had a big fight. Lisa even stopped talking to me, although we were fighting over something small. As usual, because of clothes, I put her dress on without permission and went for a walk with friends. It turned out that Lisa was going to put on the same dress to go on a date with a guy whom she had fallen in love with. But since the dress was on me, she had nothing to wear, and she had to cancel the long-awaited date. Our silence lasted several days. My parents really didn't like it. Suddenly, my mother told my sister to stop, because if it wasn't for me, she wouldn't be here. My dad frowned suspiciously over those words. My sister and I didn't understand anything. What could this mean? Why wouldn't Lisa be here without me? Soon, though, we reconciled and no longer remembered that strange phrase accidentally thrown out by our mother. The new school year was drawing near. We had to undergo a scheduled physical examination before school started. So, the next morning we went to the hospital. The doctors didn't have any questions about my health, but there were some doubts about my sister, and she was sent for an additional exam. They said first of all to take a blood test. Lisa and I didn't think this was much to worry about, but my parents were very anxious. Although I didn't understand, what could be wrong? As far as I remember, we didn't get sick with anything worse than a cold. Even chickenpox passed us by. The next day, my parents with Lisa went to the most expensive hospital in the city. I thought that was a little strange, because you can do a blood test at any clinic. The clinic said that the results would be back in a week. Oh, how we lived this week. I've never seen my mother so scattered, and my father so silent. The day came when the tests were ready. My parents went to the clinic themselves. My sister and I stayed home. A few hours later, they returned. Mom was in tears, and Dad was broken. It was a relapse. One word, we were told. It meant that the terrible disease had returned. It still wasn't clear to me. What kind of relapse? Lisa didn't seem to be seriously ill. Then our parents gathered us in the living room and told us a story of 15 years ago, when Lisa was only 2 years old. She was diagnosed with severe leukemia. An urgent bone marrow transplant was needed and a lot of donated blood. It was very difficult to find a donor whose cells coincide. So the doctor suggested that my parents urgently give birth to a second child who would become the donor. After 9 months, I was born. It turns out that I was born to save my sister's life. On the one hand, I was a little offended that I became a part of my family not because my parents wanted me, but because my blood was needed. But I quickly threw away these stupid thoughts, because now the main thing was to save the life of my sister again. And besides, my sister and I were loved equally by our parents, and they treated both of us very well. So I understood that I was needed not only as a donor, but also as a beloved daughter. And on the other hand, I felt myself even more connected with my sister, because my blood flows in her. And now I knew that she needs me like no one else. Fortunately, this time the disease was detected at an early stage, and bone marrow transplantation was not required. Just some therapy and a few blood transfusions. The next day we went to the hospital. They put us in one room. My sister was undergoing heavy chemotherapy, after which she needed my donated blood every time. After 2 months of struggle, my sister was healthy again. We never fight anymore. And since then, Lisa calls me her guardian angel. My sister is very strong. Put your likes under the video if you also have a sister or brother, and subscribe to the channel. I'm glad that my sister was able to defeat this serious illness for the second time. We all believe, we all have faith that the disease will not return. I understand one thing. Our family and the health of our loved ones is the most important thing in life. Help your relatives with everything you can. Ask more often how they feel, and don't fight over small things. Send your stories if you want to see them on the channel.